All right, hammer on. So I talked about this in the other class. It doesn't work for every chord, you know. G and C are particularly good for it, right? We talked about here's the G chord, right? Doesn't matter either way, you play it like this or like this. Same thing applies. Doing that, right? Open and hammer back on that root, third fret of the G of the E string, right? That's E to G if you're playing another instrument. You could also do it from the F sharp. A little trickier, but I like that too. So anyway, that one from the E. So A, open A hammer, right? So we got hammer from an A to a B. B, and D to E. See if you can do that. Now, if you find this difficult, you might not be able to do that quite yet. But if you can do those things, try to put them all together, something like this. Same thing on the C. It's a little trickier because you have to avoid that low E string all the time. So hammering on that A string, right, open to C, then the D string, open to E, 2, and then the 6 is on that G string, open to 2. So I might go like. Together now with the G and the C chord. Right? You could do them on other chords. Those are the chords by far the most. Like the E chord, you can kind of like the beginning to that Willie Nelson song. The D there's not much. Sometimes I'll reach my first finger up. That's, you know, but really work on it. Work it on that C and G chord. You know, work it on the C and G. There's other ones available. We talked a little bit about the F chord. Work on that. And then we did that song. Down the road, we worked on it last, so I'm going to get back into that. That's a really good one for this. The first time I'm not going to the minor, I'm just playing that G6. I think we talked about that real briefly in class. So it would be like G6, G back to G. The second time, the E minor. I was doing that last one that from the F sharp up to the G. Anyway, so mess around with that song and all those varieties of hammer-ons, and try other things on other chords. You never know. You know, whatever. All right.